Welcome back to episode 7 of the Rueb Show. I don't know if you hear Mr. Sniffles over there going away. Matt's a little congested tonight, but the show must go on.
Yeah,
Maddie, how's
James,
it going?
it's been a rough week in Georgia, man. These allergies are no joke. I've never been a hit like this, but it's I'll tell you what. I don't know if you guys don't have them really up north, do you? Or
I get some
pollen?
seasonal allergies. I don't really get it personally that bad. My eyes get a little red, but that's mostly because of my contacts and stuff. But no,
Man, it's been like
pollen doesn't really get to me.
it rained the other day, and the guard or not the guardrails, but like the gutters were
Yeah.
full of. It was yellow from all the pollen being washed away. So if you guys hear me sneeze, I apologize. If you see me wiping my nose, I apologize. But like James said, the show must go on.
This
James,
is
how's your week?
My week's okay. I mean, this is Maddie's flu game tonight. This is his Michael Jordan flu game, so
Yeah.
it might be a really good. It might end up being a really, really good pod here. For me, I don't know. My day's been better. Unfortunately, today's opening day, and I was really looking forward to my Mets tonight. We were scheduling the show around the Mets game tonight, trying to figure out when we were going to record because I had to be in front of a TV for the Mets game,
Yeah.
and it just didn't work out. Nationals had to go ahead and get COVID, and yeah, just really frustrating. Wanted to see my guy Jacob DeGrom work tonight, but alas, I will have to wait until Saturday.
Yeah, and for those that didn't tune into the baseball episode last time, missed your big signing, or your big signing has happened since then. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Absolutely. Francisco Lindor signs a 10-year deal with the Mets. Broke last night. I thankfully was up for the news. I got to send a bunch of videos to my friends making fun of them since they were trolling me about, Lindor hitting free agency next year and how we got him and we shouldn't have all this stuff, and so I had to rub it in a little bit, but I'm excited. I plan on when they put the black jerseys out for sale, I'm getting a Lindor, a Pete Alonso, and a Jacob DeGrom jersey day one, so I'm excited.
There you go.
Today Lindor had a great quote today. They asked him like, oh, how do you expect you'll play when you're 38 years old? And I'll keep it PG for you, Maddie. He said, I'm gonna be a bad mother effer.
Yeah.
So
Well, I appreciate that censorship, and allergies or not, let's take a look at these graphics. I mean,
yeah.
this is an upgrade. Oh no. Well, the show
Did you
must
mess it
go
up?
on. No, I mean, you'll figure it out later. Um, so
That's
got
great.
some graphics here, but let's go. Do you want to tell the people what we're doing today?
Yeah, man. A lot of you guys gave a ton of feedback. We're still getting views and comments on that NFL tiers video that we did. Today I answered 2 comments on there. Really appreciate that feedback, and you guys seem to really enjoy that episode. It's been our best one so far, so we figured let's roll it out with the NBA. We're
Yeah.
post All-Star break with the NBA coming down the stretch here. Playoffs right around the corner, man, and I think there's a lot of interesting storylines in the NBA right now that could sway some power rankings, and I think we might get into a few debates here, so it should be a good time. But
Yeah,
let's
we need to
let's talk
set
some
some
NBA.
rules for this one though, because is this like overall team construction, or is this like playoff run, like who's winning this year?
I think for me it's 2021. All
Okay, that's fair.
right.
Yeah,
You cool with that?
and before we get started, shameless plug. My boy James here has got Hoops with Rube. It's on. I know I was listening to Spotify the other day in the car. It was pretty cool seeing his
iTunes
face
as
up
well.
there. iTunes. That's how. If you really like NBA, he goes in depth on these. It's high quality on the Trap Sports Network. It's really neat. Make sure you go give him a follow, give him a download, and support him grow that podcast as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Maddie. But I did hear that slight shot at my at-home production value. I did hear that. I just want to make sure that that is clear. I did hear you give me a backhanded compliment right there.
I mean, what you got a mattress in the background of your shot right
Is it
now?
up there? Yeah, it
Yeah,
is up there.
it's up
Yep,
there.
we brought that in. I had to put that in there today. Yeah, listen, we're moving some stuff around.
Hey, the show must go on.
The show must go on. All right, let's dive in. Let's do it.
Yeah, 76ers. How do you like these
Number one,
guys?
listen, number one seed in the East right now. We're recording here on Thursday. They're playing right now, but they get Joel Embiid back on Saturday. I mean, to me, they're an S tier team. They're one of the few teams that I think can compete for a championship this year.
Really, you'd put them in S? Even I think they're missing a piece for S.
Yeah, I,
Are you thinking just Simmons and Embiid and then some good role players? Put them in S?
well, they have Tobias. They have Tobias too. Yeah, I mean, they had George Hill. We'll see how he mixes in and whatnot. I really wish they would have went out and got Lowry
Yeah.
at the trade deadline. I think that would have been a really big addition for them. But listen, they are one of the few teams who could potentially beat, not to get ahead of ourselves, but the Nets in a 7-game series. You know, the Nets have nobody really who can defend Joel. So if Joel just goes out there and has some like Shaq like performances, he can get the job done for them.
Yeah, I think this is not to bust our rankings yet, but this would be my third team in the East if I was ranking
Wow,
them. I won't
they'd be my
spoil.
second. I think they'd be my second right now.
Yeah, I got you thinking.
All
Well,
right,
let's jump over to the Wizards. This is a pretty easy one.
throw them at the bottom. I mean, they're the only hope that they have is that they continue to. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they have Westbrook. They have Beal. Westbrook's been on an incredible run,
Yeah.
but like tonight, just looking at some scores tonight, they're already down 20 at halftime tonight without Beal. So just
Why didn't they
not
trade
exciting team.
Beal and get something for him? Because I
I
feel like
I
he's at
really
peak
don't
value.
understand. So this is why. It's because they think that the Westbrook Beal combo can attract a third superstar. That's the whole thesis behind them getting Russ and getting rid of John Wall was they thought that Westbrook was a more appealing option next to Beal to attract a third superstar. And clearly, I don't think that's working out.
Yeah, I think that John Wall might be an upgrade over Westbrook in some ways. So I know
Yeah,
I'm not the
I don't
biggest
disagree.
Westbrook fan, but
Neither am I.
I always like John Wall. He's a solid player. He's a good defender. I just don't understand. I don't think that they're getting a third piece to that, and I don't think they have the depth or bench to make any moves anywhere in that division.
Yeah, I completely
So,
agree.
all right, next up, my hometown Atlanta Hawks. What do you
This
think
is
of
a
B
tough.
tier?
This is a tough one. Yeah, I think they're a B team. I think that's a pretty fair ranking. Initially because I looked ahead, I was just trying to brainstorm where I thought the next team would go, and initially my first gut instinct was C, but then I thought about it for I for a couple seconds. I was like, no, let's move them up. So I completely agree with that B ranking. Um, they have some issues. They're a deep roster for sure. They just lost John Collins for a week, so that kind of hurts them in the short term. But my problem is, what's their identity? Like with Trey, he's so bad defensively. Like they have no on-ball defenders. Like
Yeah.
Bogdanovich is a really interesting, really great player who's really come into his own in the past couple of days, even since he came back off injury and they extended him. They have Kevin Herter off the bench, who's great. Danilo Gallinari is like eh
Eh.
off the bench. It's like they're just they can't win a title and they're not bad, and that's a tough place to be in.
They're like a first round knockout, like of the playoffs each year. I feel like,
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more.
and they're young though. They are young. We'll give them that. They've got.
They are young.
What
Yep.
do you think of like the future there with Reddish and Hunter? Like, do you think they're anything more than role players or?
Here's the problem. I think they have a ton of really good third options. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
they're
Like,
just they have a lot of depth, but they can't play them all. They're all like average.
yeah, they need another superstar somehow, some way, but I don't even know where they like fit them into the rotation, and like who would complement them really well besides obviously Kevin Durant or something like that who could fit in anywhere. Like
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of like who is that other superstar that could fit gel with them, and maybe they could find some draft luck or something. They fall out of the playoffs, get a lottery spot, the ball's spin in their favor. But yeah, I think that's a fair ranking. And they're just they're in purgatory, like I like to talk about. They're not good enough, not bad enough, and that's not a good place to be.
I hear you there. Well, let's jump into the Cleveland Cavaliers, who got, had their buyout with Drummond, got rid of him. What's their identity? Are they a C team here?
No,
D?
whoa, yeah, they're D to me. Definitely a D to me.
Yeah.
I mean, they got some good young guards in Garland and Sexton, but other than that, I mean, Kevin Love just came back tonight for them, but they're gonna look to move him for something. I mean, his contract's awful. He's maybe a potential buyout guy next year. Yeah, I mean, it's just they're just super not exciting as well. Hopefully, they get a top 5 pick in this year's draft. That would be huge for them because there's 5 really good prospects in this year's draft, and then there's a massive drop off after that. So the lottery balls will be very important this year.
Yeah. No, I agree. The only reason I was thinking C was just because they do have Sexton, they do have Garland.
Larry
I
Nance is
I was about
another
to say
decent
I like
guy.
Larry Nance. I think he's a great. uh, I don't. I think he kind of gets buried behind Love when Love plays, but that's more reason to move Love and continue to build that young depth and until they can make a playoff run.
Yeah, I know we definitely have some more of those bottom feeders coming up. So maybe we'll move them up. We could talk about it a little bit. We'll compare the list, see where we got to slide some guys up, slide some guys down.
James, you can't keep jumping ahead on me. All right, you got it. We're talking about one team here. We haven't even started talking about the Detroit Pistons yet. I mean, they're a D, right? We're back in D.
I think so. Yep.
They just don't have anything.
I
I
mean, Killian Hayes has been hurt for them, so they haven't even gotten to see what their high draft equity draft pick from last year is even capable of. I mean, Jeremy Grant is going to win. He's going to win Most Improved Player this year, which is exciting. And the Nuggets shouldn't have let him walk because we clearly see how important he was for that playoff run last year for them. I don't know. They're another team that just feels so far away, you know?
Yeah, and one thing I want to touch on Jeremy Grant because I actually texted you about him. I think it was last week in the sense of like for daily fantasy sports purposes, like on DraftKings last year, he was like a 3K player, maybe like mid fours.
Yeah.
And now he's what, like 7 or 8 thousand each night? Like he's really come into
Yeah.
his own from on the Pistons. I think a lot of it has to do with usage, but like I just I don't see them doing anything for a while.
Yeah, he's taking advantage of his opportunity,
Yeah.
which is great. And you like to see that for guys that I've always thought he's a really good basketball player. So seeing him step up, the problem with the Pistons, I just think they're a really poorly run organization. I mean, we saw them let Christian Wood walk away, and Christian Wood has flashed so much upside, and they brought in all these big men, and they're gonna have a top 3 pick in the draft. In lottery terms, they're gonna have like a bottom 3 record, which means that they'll be in contention for Cunningham, Suggs, or Mobley, which is really, really good. But it's like, what do they do with
Yeah.
that? Do they add another point guard in Cade or Suggs? Cade can probably play off the ball a little bit better than Suggs because he's a really good 3-point shooter. And then, I mean, they already have all these big men, and they're just going to throw Mobley into the mix as well after they just used a draft pick on Stewart last year. I mean, they're a mess. I don't understand. I'd like to walk into the Pistons management team, whatever their meeting space is, and just look at the whiteboard. What does it have on there? What is your plan? Like, what are you going into work thinking about every day? Like,
I would love to see it too. I don't know. I mean, I would love to see you walking into the Pistons boardroom and just slamming something down on the table. Like, what are you guys doing?
exactly. I would have forced Christian Wood highlights down their throat before they didn't re-sign him.
Yeah, I don't. It's just tough.
Yep.
But let's move on. Indiana Pacers, which has one of my favorite players on it. He just got back healthy again. I'll let you, before I move, I want to hear what your thoughts on this team are.
Oh man, I love the Pacers so much, but they've been playing so poorly. I think that B ranking is good. I consider them to be the upper echelon probably of that B tier, just because I see the potential with those guys playing together. They just haven't all been healthy at the same time,
Yeah.
and they've been impressive over the past week when they're all healthy. I mean, Brogdon, Levert, Sabonis, and Turner together for this year is a really interesting core four to play with, and then they have a bunch of guys off the bench that can
Yeah.
plug and play into that fifth role, and then next year they'll get T.J. Warren back, which is great. So I'm pretty bullish on the Pacers long term, but if we're specifically talking about this season, I think that's a fair ranking.
Yeah, I just don't know if they're going to be able to make it happen and get hot for the playoff run because those four, in theory, could carry them. I don't know how far in the playoffs, but if they get hot, I think that's also a pretty good defensive team that not a lot of people talk about. But I'm
Agree.
super. I love Levert. I'm happy that he's healthy. I actually liked the trade from Houston to Indiana because I think that it was a better spot for him.
What was Houston thinking?
I
I
mean,
mean,
they had my boy Kevin Porter Jr. lined up, ready to rock, and that's what they were doing. But no, I don't know. I wouldn't. I think he's so good that he's someone that I would try to build a team around.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really like Karis LeVert. I mean, I remember back in those bubble days from a couple months ago, which feels like years ago now. But
Yeah,
Karis LeVert was a bubble beast.
Bubble
Uh,
Beast.
Bubble beast for sure. I mean, I played him like every slate. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
He was really fun to watch. That was when all I did all day long was watch basketball. That was what a time to be alive.
We were living. We were living,
We
living,
were,
and we
we were
had, and
thriving.
we haven't even touched on McBuckets,
Yeah,
McDermott,
Dougie. Yep,
Dougie
McBucket
coming off the
there as well.
bench. He's
Yeah.
good.
Hey, they got TJ McConnell as well, one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
I really like this Pacers team. I hope they put it together because I think they're a lot of fun.
I think they're one that if we were doing like a B plus, B minus, I agree with you. They would be in my B plus.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yep.
All right, so this is one where I think there might be a little controversy from us. I think you're about to say S tier for the Bucks, right?
No, I'm not. No, I'm absolutely
Oh,
not. No, A for the
really?
Bucks. Absolutely, I'm
That's
way down on the
same.
Bucks. They're
Yeah.
so bad right now. All right, so you, my hoops with Rube episode for this week isn't out yet. So I go into detail on the Bucks on that episode, basically like a SOS on the Bucks, like you need to learn how to play basketball right now because
Yeah.
what you're doing is not working.
Without Giannis, where would they be on this list?
I mean,
C or D?
they're probably a D team. Like they're awful.
Yeah.
And the problem with Giannis is teams are just like not locking down the paint on him. They're not allowing him to, get that momentum, that dribble penetration that he loves to do. And then if they're not knocking down shots and not complimenting him well, it's just ugly. The Drew Holiday thing is not working out.
No. I
They're
didn't really
supposed to be a
understand the
good defensive
move.
unit.
Yeah, I
They're
didn't
supposed to be
understand
good
it.
defensively, and they have not been good at all. Brooke Lopez is an absolute liability on the floor. Like,
Is that
they
a
need-
surprise? Is that a
It's
surprise?
not a surprise. He's supposed to be in the corner stretching for Giannis, but he's just such a liability defensively, and he's just not hitting his shots consistently enough to be valuable. And then their grandiose plan is like I don't know, add Drew Holiday, who's
Temporary break. Well,
but they
James,
gave up 3 first-round picks.
close your
What was
tabs.
that?
Close your tabs. We lost you for a few seconds there, buddy.
I, listen, it was just me yelling about the Bucks giving up the first-round picks for Drew. And
Yeah.
what do you call it? So they gave up an unprotected 2027 pick for Drew Holiday. Like
Wow. 6 years.
it's borderline irresponsible to give up a unprotected 2027 pick. What if Giannis isn't there in 2027 and that's a potential top 3 pick where a guy like maybe Zion is in a class?
Yeah.
Like it's irresponsible, and they were someone that I was hoping to be excited about, but I don't know if Giannis ever gets it done unless he leaves Milwaukee. They're not building the proper team around him.
I agree. I was surprised. I thought you'd want to throw them an S there, but
No,
okay.
I'm lower on them.
Well, another team.
So now I'm interested who your number 2 in the East is. All right, we'll keep
we
going.
haven't. Oh, you don't. I thought we talked about this, but let's go to Toronto. What do you think? Are they B?
Man, an unexciting B, I guess.
I mean, I feel like they have to be with just their
They
starting lineup, like just on
they do.
paper.
Their lineup's good, but Nick Nurse is awful as a coach. I mean, that dude has no idea what he is doing. The fact that he
Yeah.
plays Aaron Baines over Chris Boucher is like borderline criminal. Like we need to investigate Nick Nurse for what he call throwing games and just I mean for fraud because man I don't understand how you watch those two guys play basketball and you see the impact that Boucher has on the floor and you don't actively try to get that guy more minutes. And then they just lost Norman Powell as well. Yes, they got Gary Trent back in return, but Powell's a really good player and he was playing fantastic when they were dealing with their COVID issues. And I do think they sold him at the right time. I don't love Trent coming back. I think he's kind of a guy that's at his highest evaluation point as well. But yeah, I mean they're not exciting. They're not a danger in the East to me. So it's still a fair ranking though.
Yeah, I mean, I like Van Fleet and Siakam a lot. I think that's a big reason they're in B. Siakam, I think, is going to be something in this league for many years to come. I think he's super good. So, any other comments on the Raptors there?
Nothing really on the Raptors. They're definitely interesting and just to think a few years ago they won a championship. Yes, it was because of Kawhi, of course,
Yeah.
but it was a good roster. Really good roster, man.
Yeah. Well, another team that I really like is the Dallas Mavericks. You think they're where would you
They're an
rank them?
A team for me. Luka Doncic gets an A from me. Man, he can take over a series, you
I'm gonna
know?
I'm gonna muster up some energy for this one because I still have friends that defend the Trey Young Luca pick swap, and it blows my mind. I'm speaking to you in the camera right now. Luca is going to be generational talent, one of the best of all time. If you compare his stats at his age to LeBron, I think he's actually better than LeBron in some of the stats. I mean, he is someone you build a franchise around, and he can play decent defense. He's not just a total liability on defense. I don't understand it. I love him. I also, coming from the Knicks, I really like Porzingis. I actually expected a little more out of him, but I know he's had a battle with. He hasn't been able to stay too healthy these past couple of years, has he?
No, hasn't been able to stay healthy, but over the past week, Matt, he's actually exploded. He's been playing really well.
Yep.
Luca missed 2 games, and he stepped up in his absence, and he even picked up the slack in one game where Luca was getting blitzed and double teamed. So it's really encouraging to see. I mean, that's the key for them to be successful is how well can Kristaps compliment Luca. And just to touch on the Luca Trey stuff, I mean, I don't understand how it's a debate when Luca is just so much more physical than Trey is, just in every aspect of the game. And then when it comes to the finesse and the shooting aspect, he's better than him as well.
Yeah.
It's just Luca can get any shot he wants on the court. He can take anyone to the rim. He can create separation on anyone. He is as you said, a generational talent, and it shows that he has played against grown men for years.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree. And that's one thing. Let's take a short hiatus and go off on this. How do you think of going, straight to college and then to the draft versus going and playing over in Europe? What would you do if you were a basketball player right now?
Yeah, I definitely think it's interesting. I think every situation is different, and it's difficult to just give a one blanket statement like what I think all kids at a high school who are those elite talents should do. For some guys, I mean, the exposure is really important to get their name out there by going and playing college basketball. That's the greatest thing that the NCAA does. Is a guy like Suggs is going to play in the Final Four on Saturday night in front of millions of people, and he's creating his brand on there, and he's going to eventually be a top 3 pick this year. So that's really good for him. And maybe people didn't know him out of high school. A unique situation like LaMelo shouldn't have ever considered going to college. It doesn't benefit him. He's not trying to get his name out there. He just wants to get better and put good tape out there. And at that point, you should be doing the transition G League program that the NBA started or going to play overseas, in my opinion. So those are just like two examples of guys that I think one path worked for one and one path worked for the other.
Fair enough. Let's talk about potentially the number one seed in the West here, Denver Nuggets. We just tossed them up in S.
The S tier. I grabbed them at 26-1. I literally could not be happier. I have never been more convinced that the Nuggets are beating the Lakers in the Western Conference. I've never been more convinced.
I don't even think the Lakers are their top challenge right now in the West.
Aaron Gordon complimented that team so freaking well, and until I watched it the other night, I didn't even realize like how well he fits in with Jokic. He's such a good slasher and cutter to the rim, and he can stretch the floor really well, and he's so athletic, and he plays really good defense as well. Yeah. If they can switch 1 through 5, which is really encouraging, man. And then Jamal Murray can get hot at the like that.
Yeah.
Like that, he could become a top 5 scorer in the NBA on top of playing with a combination of Larry Bird, Dirk Nowitzki, and who's my last one?
Steve Nash.
Oh, and Steve Nash.
Yeah. That's how many times I've heard it, people.
There you go. It's just the truth. That's my guy, the MVP, Nikola Jokic.
There you go. Invest in Top Shot accordingly. Yep. Memphis Grizzlies.
Not financial advice.
Yeah, not financial advice. Disclaimer.
Matt, do you know how many texts I get a day? Like, is it too late to buy Bitcoin? Is it? And you know what I love? I just like send them our videos now.
I was about to say, great. Send them episode 2.
Send them the link, and there you go.
Yep. All right. Memphis Grizzlies.
This, to me, is our first C tier team.
I think C is polite, but I'll let you address the room here.
Yeah, I mean, Ja Morant. I'm betting on talent. Like, I love Ja.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Ja's gonna be incredible. I don't love a lot of the players surrounding him. Like, I'm not a Kyle Anderson guy. I don't think Dylan Brooks is that good. Joe Val is Joe Val.
I was about to say Joe Val, baby.
Joe Val's Joe Val. I mean, he's a part of that, dying breed of center in the NBA. I don't know, man. Brandon Clark is a young talent that I hope produces well. I'm really excited when they get Jaren Jackson Jr. back. Yeah. That's a guy they miss. That's when we could potentially be talking about moving them up. And I think that like potential and promise is what kind of puts them that tier above. And I know we said specifically for 2021, but if they get healthy and Morant can take over games like we saw him do in the bubble, and he's willing to go out there and play like mid-40s minutes come playoff time and stuff like that, if they're able to get into the mix for a play-in game, I don't know. To me, they're just a little bit better than all these bottom feeder teams.
That's fair. I mean, I would pick them over the Pistons, the Cavaliers, and the Wizards, so that's fair. Yeah, I love Ja. I think that he is I wonder if they're almost, I'm not going to say resting him, but monitoring his, I'm not going to say monitoring his business because I think he's still playing high 30s. But like you said, in the bubble, he was like 40 plus each night. He almost never left the floor.
So, yeah, obviously they were fighting for a seed there in the bubble, and he was dealing with some lingering injuries earlier this year, and they eased him back, and then they dealt with some more injuries on top of that, and they just one night they were just like, all right, go ahead, Ja. Go, like, you're back in the mid-30s. You feel fine? Go out there. Go, let's do it.
Yep. Minnesota Timberwolves. This is an interesting one.
This is an interesting team. To me, they're a C, personally.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know if they have what it takes to be up there in that B tier.
Off.
They do. I mean, Towns, I don't know if he's in it right now. I mean, he dealt with a ton of COVID stuff.
Yeah.
He went through a ton of stuff, ton of COVID deaths in the family. I actually watched Karl Anthony Towns play all through high school. He grew up a town over from me, which was cool to watch. His high school team was incredible. And I don't know. I mean, Anthony Edwards has stepped up a little bit. I'm still not impressed with him. I don't think he's going to be really good long term as the number one pick. So I'm not very excited.
I like him.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, what's he doing wrong? He's shooting.
He has a ton of limitations in his game. I don't think he's a very good shooter. Yes, he can take the ball to the hole, but he kind of reminds me of RJ Barrett. Like how we think of RJ Barrett today compared to 2 years ago is how I think we're going to think of Anthony Edwards. Like I'm not super bullish on RJ Barrett becoming a superstar. Are you? Or I mean, we could talk about that when we get there, but that's
I'm not
kind
gonna
of the
say
comparison that I
superstar, but a
made.
good player.
But when you're a top three pick in the NBA, that's what your expectation is a superstar. You know?
Yeah, I
So
guess.
to me, it's just like Lamelo's in a different world from him. Like I even think Halliburton's going to be in a different world than him in a
Yeah.
few years. So who knows when they get D'Angelo Russell back? It'll be interesting to see how that works. Like get Rubio off this team. It makes no sense. Like let's let's get rid of that. They're hopefully going to have a top three pick, and then they'll be able to get maybe a guy like Suggs or a guy like Kate Cunningham, who I
Yeah.
think maybe would complement Edwards and Towns well, and then they could get rid of Russell and figure some things out. One interesting young piece is Jaden McDaniels. I don't even know if you know who that is, Matt, but he's really stepped up for them. He's a extremely athletic wing player. Kind of reminds me. I don't know if Aaron Gordon's a good comparison, but a guy like Aaron Gordon, he can ball handle, get cut to the rim, play good defense, like one of those athletic forward type of guys, who I'm extremely bullish on, and I think he can be a pivotal part of their future and someone that they should keep around long term.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Next up, San Antonio Spurs.
This is a
D.
tough one. No, I was gonna go C. I got a little bit more respect for my boy DeJounte.
I think that you are blind by your love for him.
No, their starting five's still good. Their starting five is still good.
They're
Listen,
bad.
DeJounte, Derek White, Keldon, DeRozan, and Jakob is. I mean, they're still competitive. They can beat teams.
I know we're talking real NBA here, but in DraftKings, I refuse to play Keldon Johnson anymore. He's
Yeah,
just
he's
not a
so.
usage guy. Like
No, he's not.
he
Nope.
doesn't really do it. Like I don't understand it. Like I watched one of the games and he just kind of like hung out in the corner, not in the corner, but like I don't even know. He just didn't do much. So
Yeah, it's
I
weird. There are
was
some
impressed.
guys. There are some guys in fantasy where if it's an extremely up and down game, we talk about this all the time about how some guys just like really thrive in those high, fast paced matchups, and then when it's like a slower, like half court set type of game, they're just non-existent in the offensive sets. And I feel like Keldon is one of those guys. So that makes a lot of sense. Like maybe you want to play Keldon against a team like the Timberwolves where it might play faster, might play more up and down, but Keldon against like the Jazz or the Suns, like it no matter who's out or like what his usage rate is supposed to be, like maybe that's just a situation that should always be avoided with him.
I agree. I agree. Well, you mentioned the Jazz. They're next up on the list. This is a. I feel like you don't like a lot of the people on the Jazz, do you?
I don't, but they're a good collective team. I've compared them to on other platforms. I've compared them to, I'm gonna let you go first here because you look disrespectful right now. I've compared them to the 2014 Spurs championship team that beat
Wow.
LeBron, just as a really balanced unit. Matt, they have the sixth man of the year and a potential defensive player of the year candidate. I mean, go put them in the A tier. What are we doing here? They might get the one seed in the West.
I'm just not excited about that whole team though.
I'm not excited either, but I mean, you can't put the Jazz and the Hawks in the same tier, Matt. Come on, dude.
Very comparable. Very
I think
comparable.
there will be people out there who are mad that we didn't put the Jazz in the S tier with how well
No,
they're
no
playing this year.
shot.
I'm
No
telling you,
shot.
I guarantee it'll be in the comments.
I'm
Really,
waiting. I'll be scanning through those comments. I'm not. There's no one thinking that the Jazz should be an S tier.
all right, we'll see. I'm telling you, man. They what he calls people love the Jazz, and I don't hate them either. They would have to go on a similar to the 2014 Spurs run where it's really balanced. I think Tony Parker was their leading scorer at 14 points a game. That's when young Kawhi was the defensive player of the year and won MVP that year. So, I mean, Mitchell's good. Mitchell's not great. Like people have been defending Mitchell all year long. I like Mitchell, but I don't put him in that upper echelon of elite elite superstars.
Yeah.
So if they're gonna win, it's gonna be with team basketball and getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, I guess. I'll
I guess.
I don't see it. I don't think they're a playoff contender,
We
especially.
can at the end of the list, we'll just go like we'll look at the B tier and like I'll just ask you like, do you take any of these teams over the Jazz? Like you probably are. You probably wouldn't.
I think I'd take the Pacers. I
No,
think
no.
if there was a B
And
plus,
I love the Pacers.
oh, I think the Pacers are good, but I don't know. Let's talk about the S tier Clippers.
Hmm.
You don't think they're S tier?
No, I don't think so, man.
You think
What
the
what
Jazz are A and the Clippers are A?
what's gotten you excited about the Clippers this year?
I just think
Besides just like the thought of PG and Kawhi together. Like what have you seen this year that gets you like really excited about the Clippers?
down the stretch, you harped on it. You actually Chop Sports was live on Facebook in their group, and while you were doing your podcast, and people were able to go in and ask questions. And as that was happening, I was watching, and Rajon Rondo got signed by the Clippers. And
Yep.
you talked about playoff Rondo, but I think that Rondo is going to do way more for the Clippers than he was ever going to do on the Hawks.
Yeah, and I think I touched on that at the time as well, and I completely agree. It's a way better fit, but Rondo doesn't like put them over the top for me. Like if we compared the Clippers and the Nuggets starting five, like I don't know, man. Like I think the Nuggets have a significantly better team. Here's the problem: is the Clippers role players are like bad.
They're not very deep. They don't have a
They're
lot of depth
like
on their team.
and that was their entire thesis last year was like, oh my God, look at this Clippers roster. But I like Zubac. He's been okay. Marcus Morris, come on now. Like
I think he should be a
they paid
bench
him
player.
60 they paid him $60 million. Like he's
Yeah.
supposed to be in their closing five, like Marcus Morris. Luke Kennard, they paid him $60 million in the offseason. He's been awful.
But
He's been awful.
what do you
Patrick
think of this?
Beverly, Nick Batum, like
Oh, I
I'm
like
just
Beverly. He's a good on-ball defender. He's kind of
no,
like a
but
Marcus Smart type guy.
no, he can't shoot as well as Marcus Smart. I don't really like Beverly's style of play. I get why some people like it, but he's a nothing on the offensive end, and when he gets the basketball in his hands, he's like so erratic. Like he's like an even worse like Russell Westbrook. When he gets the ball, he doesn't know what to do with it. He's like throws it away. It's just so bad. I don't know.
I could
I'm
see
I
there's closing five in the playoffs being like
Go ahead.
Rondo, Beverly,
No,
George,
those two
Kawhi,
cannot
and
play together.
Zubac. I
Those
think
two
that's a
cannot be on
sporty
the floor
group
together.
right there.
Rondo and Patrick Beverly will never play on the floor together. Never.
I think that they would lock up the two guards on any other team, though.
Matt,
They're both.
that would be the worst offensive lineup in the NBA. Rondo
I disagree.
Oh, it'd be so bad.
Let me storm into the
God
Clippers
Thank
management
God
room.
you're not storming into the front office. That would be so bad, Matt.
Well, I mean, Los Angeles Clippers, hear me now. You got a supporter here.
The problem is
there.
when you have Kawhi, he could turn it on, man, whenever he wants. So I
We'll see. Phoenix Suns.
think they're an A team for me as well, just for potential. I mean,
I
they're
like
not a
their
very
team.
exciting A. They're okay. I think they're built really well for the regular season. I like their length that they deploy on wings. Like I'm really big on Bridges and Crowder. Like I
Yeah.
think those are like two really integral pieces. And then they have a straight baller in Devin Booker who can go get a bucket, and Chris Paul kind of keeping everything together. And DeAndre Ayton, I was talking a couple weeks ago. He was in the doghouse with them. They were playing Saric over him in crunch time and stuff, which they still may do when they need to be a little bit more shooter oriented, where they could stretch the floor a little bit more. But Ayton's really coming to his own over the past couple games, and I think they have a ton of potential, and I think Chris Paul is really hungry for a ring.
I do too. I think that this was a great landing spot for Chris Paul. Kind of coach up all the young guys a little bit.
Too.
I mean, and him
think
just
so, too.
passing the ball to Booker is, I think, elite talent.
Yeah, I thought Chris Paul lost a step, but he's been really impressive this year to me. Just
Yeah.
he's such a smart basketball player. I think if Chris Paul is able to win a ring somehow, some way here down the line, we're gonna talk about him in that conversation of like one of the best point guards of all time. He's already in it, but like we'll talk about like maybe one or two like overall with guys like Curry and Magic and whatnot.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I don't know if we're just on a West tear here, but here's Portland,
We are.
which
Portland's an A team for me as well. What do you think?
I think they're almost an S tier team with their superstar in Bobby Covington. No, I'm just kidding. I think they're an A tier team. I think
Yeah,
that they're
we.
like one player away from being S tier.
Hey, was Norman Powell that one player for you?
I don't think that was the sign. I think it was a good move, but I think they needed. I don't even know. I couldn't tell you who it would be. I think they're almost like the Hawks, and like it would take like a major superstar to come there in order to make the difference. But I mean, I think Lillard is one of the top point guards in the league. I think he's one of those guys we're going to be talking about here in a few years. I mean, he's can shoot in crunch time. He's good leadership. I like Lillard a lot.
If there was one player in the NBA, if I was down 2 points, 20 seconds on the clock, shot clock is off, I want the ball in Damian Lillard's hands.
Yeah.
The clutchest player in the NBA. And that's why he can go out and beat any team in the NBA in a 7-game series. Like him and McCollum just are an incredible, incredible backcourt. Covington's a great D&3 guy. I think Powell's a really good addition for them. I think he's an offensive upgrade on Gary Trent, while not losing anything defensively, really. And
Yeah.
then they got two serviceable big men down there in Nurkic, who played great in the bubble last year, and
Yeah.
Cantor, who could come in and give that offensive spark. And the addition of Powell makes them not not feel the need to roll Carmelo Anthony out there for a little bit more offense, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I think he's a good bench usage guy for them, but I don't know how much longer he'll be playing.
I agree.
So this is, I think, a interesting team here, the Sacramento Kings. I am like probably one of the De'Aaron Fox's biggest fans.
I love Fox, man. He's so good. Yeah, they're a B team for me. Just because.
See, I think that's even aggressive.
And I'm fine with being aggressive.
I would need to
on
look
them.
at their
I'd rather
record
be
for
more
this
aggressive.
for this year. Like, I don't think they're making a splash in the West, but I'd love.
No,
Fox.
I don't think so either. They're definitely still pieces away, but they're so young. And Fox and Halliburton together, man, did they land a freaking gem in Tyrese Halliburton, 9th overall?
Yeah.
Oh, the Knicks, man. We're gonna talk about him next. You had Halliburton. You had him. You get Obi Toppin.
Mistakes were made. Was that the pick? I forgot that was who they picked up.
Obi Toppin, who
Oof.
might not even be in the league in 2 years. That's how freaking bad he is.
Next year.
1 month younger than Jason Tatum.
Yep.
Insane. I think I was talking to you during the draft. Like,
Yeah.
you know how much I hated that pick when it happened.
Yeah, I thought you were about to storm the stage there.
Oh, so bad.
But, well, let's go ahead and just jump. I mean, the Kings are the Kings. I don't think they're going to be playoff contenders in the West. I think they're a good, sporty young team. They need some help in order to be a serious playoff contender in the West. So let's move on to your Knicks, because I know this is going to be a long rant here.
I think I'm going to surprise you right here. I think we need to go ahead and put the Knicks right there next to the Kings. They're the 5th seed in the East right now.
I was about to say the only reason I think is because of Julius Randle.
Julius Randle's been incredible this year. And if it wasn't for those elite superstars, like if we were just looking at the MVP award as like who is the most valuable player to their team right now, it's Julius Randle to the Knicks. He is single-handedly carrying them on his back, and he turned down their extension offer last season, and he looks like a genius. He's going to get a max contract with them or with someone else. He could say, oh, fine, you don't want me? I'll go somewhere else. Any team in the league would have me right now. That's how well he's playing.
Yeah, he's progressed. I loved him when he was on the Lakers. I felt like he never really got a shot. And then I was like, when the Pelicans, I didn't think that was the best fit for him, but he actually came out and performed well. But the Knicks, like, he looks like a superstar. I mean, he
Yeah,
really does. I mean, he's shooting threes. He's the point guard for them sometimes. I mean, he
he is.
does everything for them.
Yep,
So, super
I
exciting
agree.
basketball player to watch. But
Yeah.
let's touch on your favorite player might be what, quickly?
Emmanuel quickly, man. They
He's
smashed him in the draft. I love that draft pick when it happened. There was a bunch of people at Kentucky who really hoped that quickly went back to school because they loved him and they thought that he was going to be a key piece for them going forward at Kentucky. And when he came out, and even though he was a projected early second round pick, he wanted to go to the league, and the Knicks took the chance on him, drafting him a little bit earlier than consensus, and they smashed it. And it's the only reason the front office is going to get away with the awful Obi Toppin pick.
Yeah, they kind of salvaged it. They did, but
It did. The one Knicks thing that sucks is they just lost Mitchell Robinson for the year, broke his
yeah.
foot.
I liked him as a good young
I love
center.
him so much. He's so athletic, great on the defensive end. He can play well in the pick and roll game. You can throw lobs to him. He's kind of like maybe like a little bit of a poor man's like Clint Capella a little bit on the offensive end. You know, he's
Yeah,
not completely like into himself yet on the offensive end, and he doesn't have a James Harden or a Trey Young running that pick and roll with him. But that could be him in quickly in the future. You know,
I
so.
agree. Yeah, they're a good sporty team.
Can we talk RJ Barrett a little bit? Like, what's your thoughts
Yeah.
on RJ Barrett?
See, I,
Because
I think I'm higher than him or I think I'm higher than you on him, and that
I think you
surprises
are.
me.
Yeah, I definitely think you are. Like,
I like him. I thought he was doing a lot of the right things. He's young. I mean, this is his second year. He's growing. Like I think he's someone like Randall that in maybe like a year or two he's going to be someone that is. I don't think he's going to be a superstar, but he will definitely progress and be a fantastic role player. Almost like a Tobias
but see
Harris.
but that's my problem. We used the number 3 overall pick on him. You can't be a role player when you're the number 3 overall pick,
Yeah,
right?
but I
That
think
can't happen.
last year's draft class was weak though.
No, it's Zion in it.
Last
It's
year.
Zion, man.
Oh, that was 2 years ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's in the Zion class.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, listen, come on. We can't keep giving RJ this pass, man. Can't shoot. He's not a good defender. He's unbelievably inconsistent. He needs to be an alternative scoring option for one of the point guards, Rose or Quickly, Randall, and Barrett has to be that third guy. He just has to be. And
Yeah.
the Knicks go as far as RJ Barrett can take them. And right now that's not very far because he is unbelievably inconsistent. I need to see more out of him. And
That's
I
fair.
like the past week he's been really aggressive and taking the ball to the hoop and making his free throws, and it's been great. But I need more out of him.
I don't know. I think that expecting more is fair, but I don't think for his first year being COVID, I'm not giving up on him yet. That's what I'll say. That's how I'll end
Fine.
my comment.
Fine, I'll leave the light on for RJ Barrett. Is
Okay.
that fair? All right.
That's fair.
We'll revisit this. It's not the last time we're going to talk the Knicks and NBA, so I'm sure we'll get into it again at some point. And I'll either say I told you so, this dude freaking sucks, or you're gonna be like, RJ Barrett, I told you, don't
Sneaking
give
up.
up on him.
We'll see.
So.
We'll see. Well, let's talk about. You mentioned Zion. Here's your boy. Like, they traded Drew Holiday, which I think actually was a huge impact for them. But what's your? I mean, are you A, B? I think this could be anywhere for me. I'll wait and see what you say.
My initial lean was a B team,
Yeah.
just because Zion's so special, and I do really like their roster. I mean, Steven Adams is, I think, a really good complimentary big man. Ingram is an elite offensive talent. You know what? You know who I don't think. I think in those discussions that we were talking about the teams that are a player away, who were we talking about? Portland, and who was the other team that we said was one guy away?
Probably the
Like
Raptors.
the Raptors. I don't know if he fits on the Rap, but Brandon Ingram could be that guy.
Yeah. The
right? Did you
Hawks.
see
The
that?
Hawks. He would be great on
The
the Hawks.
Hawks.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram on the Hawks. That's the team that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram on the Hawks.
That'd be
Let's
a good
get that
spot.
done. Let's get the trade machine pumping for that one. I think that's a good one.
Front
I don't
offices
know.
better watch out. James Rubes is coming.
I'm coming. Now, I think that's a really fun one. Is it not?
Yeah, that is a good one.
We do a now John Collins doesn't really work there. But listen, a John Collins and Zion with one of them playing the five is a lot of fun if you ship Steven Adams out of there. Is to
Yeah.
do like a Collins and a Herder for Brandon Ingram. Sign on the dotted line. Let's get it done.
I really liked their team last year. Really liked it with JJ Redick, Drew Holiday, Zion,
Healthy
Ingram,
Lonzo.
healthy Lonzo. Like that's a good team. Like I think that's an A caliber team.
Yeah, people underestimate how good Lonzo is defensively as
Yeah.
well. He's a really good on-ball defender, and that doesn't get talked about enough. Just because when people think of Lonzo, they want to think of that flashy passer and pushing the ball up the court and
Yeah.
all that stuff that LeVar Ball has instilled in our brains in his grand marketing schemes. But Lonzo's a really good defender, and it does not get talked about enough.
I agree. I agree. I don't know. It's
What
it's tough.
One thing I want to say real quick, Matt, we did not set up these teams in order. We have no script, nothing. I'm barely looking at the next team. We're just setting up these transitions like it's freaking nothing right now. I mean, I
So
make a LeVar reference. We're jumping right into LaMelo's team. I mean, look at this. This is fantastic. Yeah, you threw him right. You threw him right where I would have him.
yeah. No, it's almost like we're getting big time, James. I
We
mean,
are.
we've had 100 views on I think 2 videos now.
We're bobbing and weaving, baby. I mean, this is great.
I think it's mostly because of the tags that I'm putting in all the
The tags that
videos,
I'm
but
putting in the videos.
that I'm
The
putting
tags
in.
that I'm putting in the videos.
But okay, so let's talk about the other ball brother that I think that from all the hype over the offseason, I thought that he was actually like the least hyped up ball brother, but he's been the baller, pun intended, this year before his injury.
Yeah, it's always been known that LiAngelo was the bum. He was the one who was supposed to go to UCLA, and then he got in trouble in China, and then dropped out of school, and then had a tryout with the Pistons, and he sucked. That ball brother, he's the one who will be riding the coattails of LaMelo and Lonzo. But I was harping for LaMelo number one overall. Think of LaMelo and Towns together.
That'd be good.
Woo, baby.
That'd be good.
That'd be fun. But
Well, but talk about the Hornets because outside of Hayward, like, are
they got some
you?
good pieces. They got some good pieces.
Who
I
else are
feel
you
like.
excited about there?
I like Terry. I think
Okay,
he's
Terry's
not
good.
elite. I like Terry. I like Devontae Graham. Cody Zeller's a decent complimentary piece. PJ Washington. They're like the Hawks to me. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
they're good, not good enough. Is that fair?
yeah, but I don't think they're one player away. I think they need some
No.
major help.
Yeah, they're not one player away. I agree with that. Yeah, they definitely need some help. They need help with the five. They got a five. And because PJ Washington isn't good enough defensively to play big time minutes at the five, when teams go small, he can match up well with them. But they need someone better than Cody Zeller because, as much as some people like Cody, I don't know. It's not working out.
I mean, he's just gonna get beat up in the playoffs with. Imagine him versus Embiid, like it's just that type of
Yeah,
center, like
that
Rudy
would.
Gobert, like those Joe Val even. He just, I don't think he'd match up well against any of them.
Yep, I agree. That would get pretty ugly for sure.
Yep. All right. Well, Houston Rockets.
Throw them at the bottom. Listen,
There.
go listen to Chop Sports. Go listen to Hoops with Rube. I shit on the Rockets every week. They just traded away Oladipo. John Wall's barely playing for them. The only bright spot is they got lucky that they got Kevin Porter Jr. from the Cavs. Christian Wood hopefully will be a piece for them. But it's Kevin Porter Jr., it's Christian Wood, and I'm not excited about anything else about the Rockets except that they're going to have a top 3 pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say. And another segue with Oladipo into the number 2 team, maybe number 1 team in the
Did
East.
did you set these teams up, Maddie? Because my God, was that smooth?
Golly,
That
it's
was
like
silky
it's like we know
smooth.
what we're doing here. But let's talk
Oh,
about it.
baby.
I feel like you were gonna fight me on this, but I've been had this queued up. I've been thinking about this all day. I wanted to talk to you about the Miami Heat.
I like the Heat. I like the Heat.
I
So
love
listen,
the
you gave
Heat.
me my Nuggets. I'll give you the Heat because I support this decision.
I think that's a sporty team. I love
Dude, they
Jimmy
have
Butler. I love
yeah,
Jimmy Butler.
yeah. I
Oh,
love Jimmy Butler as well. Listen, they have three really good two-way players now in Bam, Jimmy, and Oladipo.
yep.
Where what I'll be interested in is this is a fun question. Well, I have two questions for you. One is what do you think their closing five will be? With difficult question, and
Yeah.
then number two will be why the hell did they get rid of Kelly Olynyk?
That's the biggest frustration I had because he was like the perfect. I felt like he just matched up so well with Bam
And yeah, he
at the
complimented
four.
Bam really well, which is frustrating.
Yeah, but I guess I still think to get Oladipo, I kind of understand it because I like Oladipo a lot, but
I like him too. I just really wish they didn't give up Olynyk because I really respect Olynyk, and
yeah,
I think his ability to play that small five and to stretch as a 4 or 5 is really really impressive. Yes, he's a little bit weak on the defensive end, and maybe they did just want to get way better defensively by getting a guy like Oladipo.
yeah.
I don't know. I like Kelly. He's been playing well for the Rockets. In
I,
his time over there. So we'll see how he plays with Christian Wood and Kevin Porter. Maybe they got a nice little thing going on with those three.
I was just about to say we probably should have talked about them because talked about Kelly O when we were talking about the Rockets because I have been bragging to my friends since he was traded that on the Rockets he could become like a legitimate like contender, not contender, but like a elevate his game to the next level with the usage that he could potentially get. But I don't know because I feel like now the Heat have like 3 or 4 guards that I would want to play.
Yeah,
Like in that
it
closing
is
five.
tough. Like what three guards do you play between Hero,
Yeah.
Oladipo, Dragic, and Butler? Can you like who are you leaving off in your closing five?
I mean, I might even put Robinson. I don't know.
Yeah, Duncan.
He's
Duncan
kind
plays
of
with them
in
too.
there. Yeah.
Where if I think Duncan's like the perfect kind of role player for like, hey, we need some threes. Like we gotta catch up. Like Duncan's in the game. Like if we're in a tight one where this is like a defensive battle, like maybe Duncan's not in there because teams do try to pick on him a ton in the pick and roll and when teams are switching. So I he's definitely squeezed out for me in their closing five personally.
But who is there for you? I don't know.
Okay, for me it would be in like a dream world, they play super small and kind of play Butler at the 4, but I
That's
don't think
too
they
small.
can. I don't think. Here's what I think they do personally. I think they do Bam, Iguodala, Jimmy, Hero, and Oladipo.
Oh, I don't like Iguodala.
They like him. He's a closer for them. They like his defense.
I guess. I mean, and it would make sense with all the other guards out there to throw him out there, but
Yeah, you got to think. This is what you got to think about. Think of how do they defend the Nets? Right? It's with
yeah,
Jimmy Oladipo. It's with Jimmy Oladipo and Iguodala or Bam on Durant. You know,
yeah.
that's kind of how they have to defend them. And I think Oladipo. I think why the Oladipo trade is so genius and people don't even realize it yet is because that's what the Heat are trying to do. They're trying to
Yeah.
find out how they can beat the Nets, which is what every team should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, and they're a stacked roster. I mean, we'll talk about them in a second, but I think that the Heat are. I would actually take them as the. I mean, they're definitely the number 2, but I don't think it's close behind them. I would actually take them higher than the Sixers.
It's tough, man. I like the Sixers. Joel Embiid is special.
I agree,
You
but
know,
the
Jimmy is
whole
too.
Heat
Jimmy is
lineup
too,
is,
but
yeah.
I get it, and what's crazy is I'm not even the biggest Sixers guy. I was the big Heat guy. I had them to win the East last year, if you remember. So
I
I'm the
remember.
big Heat guy just because I really liked their 3-point shooting last year, and I thought that they could get hot, and they did. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Joel Embiid just, yeah, I feel a Shaq moment coming on, just like a Shaq playoff dominance. Like I want to look back on this and talk about this moment I'm about to talk about. I think that like Joel Embiid can legit go on like 35 to 40 point a game, like a run in this playoffs. Like he can single-handedly beat this Nets team and potentially carry the Sixers to a championship. Like I think Joel is that good.
I am not taking anything away from Joel. It's more the fact that I think he's almost trying to do it by himself. I'm not a Ben Simmons guy.
I almost think he can.
No, but
That's
like
kind of the
imagine the
point.
Heat put up 20, 30 threes.
Yeah,
Like they're not competing with that.
it's tough. It's definitely tough. I agree.
I think it'll be a fun playoff match. Oh, the two of them together would be fun. Bam
That
against
would be
Embiid.
fun. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
But let's talk about another big man that just got on the move. Vucevic. What do you think of this
Vooch.
guy? What do you think of
I
him on
like
the
the
Bulls?
trade. I like the trade, but the Bulls are still a couple pieces away. But I like that they think they're competing. Yeah, I think that's a fair spot for the Bulls because I think they're really good offensively. Like
I agree.
Levine and Vooch are like two incredible offensive players that are extremely dynamic, can create their own shots, score in multiple different ways. So yeah, I completely agree with that Bulls ranking. They're not contenders this year, but are they maybe a player away? Potentially. Patrick Williams, I've been really impressed with him.
Yeah.
Uh, their first round draft pick from a year ago. So yeah, I like it.
Where would you put them if Lonzo Ball if they had made that trade work?
Probably the same spot personally, but
Ooh,
just
I
a
think
little bit
that's
more
tough.
upside in there. Just a little bit more upside. I don't know. Uh, I still think then they would just need like development between those three, and then they could potentially move up a year from now. You know.
Fair. Fair enough. I mean, they've got a lot of good pieces to build around. If they can hit in the draft, they could, really start to come together.
Cool.
Let's talk about them. Brooklyn Nets. I think before we rank them,
Before we rank them,
who is healthy in the playoffs for them? Is everyone back?
I think everyone plays. Kevin Durant was doing some interviews today, and he talked about how he initially thought his strain wasn't as bad as hamstring sprain, whatever you want to call it, pull. And then when he saw the X-rays of it, that it looked way worse. And what do you call it? He said he's feeling way better, and that he's already doing drills. And I think they're just being super cautious because these regular season games don't matter. They just don't matter.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as long as they make it into the playoffs. But I still think,
Oh, dude, they're going to be the one seed. No doubt about it. They're going to be the one seed.
you know
Like,
what's kind of crazy about our rankings right now is everyone talks about how good the West is. But look at our S tier. Are we hot takes here?
now we'll have one more. We'll have one more West team up there.
No, the Warriors aren't an S team. There's no other S team left. None. I'm looking at them all.
All right, we'll see.
Okay, let's talk about one of your favorite up and coming All Stars.
Sam Presti. Sam Presti,
How many
GM,
draft picks? Tell the people. Tell the people.
34 draft picks, 17 first rounders, 17 second rounders over the next 7 years. Shout out Sam Presti. Everyone, let's have a round of applause for Sam Presti.
Yeah. And then they've
I
got
mean,
Shea, but really that's all.
J Bay. That's all, and that's fine. I mean, I still think they have maybe some like bench players that could fit a rotation later down the road. Like Moses Brown, they just gave a multi-year extension to. Isaiah Roby's interesting. Theo Maladon, and the list goes on. Poku, uh, I love Poku. So, listen, they've
You're
got.
getting foolish now.
They're so interesting. Listen, I love the ranking. We're not going to be talking about the Thunder as contenders for 5 more years, and that's okay. But I still am really excited about them. I think the big debate is this next team.
I Whoa, I didn't think there was going to be much of a debate.
Okay.
Is it C?
What the fuck?
Yeah, I think they're bad.
Dude, you're putting Steph Curry in the C tier?
Okay. Because of Steph Curry, I'll move it to B. Is he?
Dude, I have the Warriors as an A.
No, no shot. No
What
shot.
do you
I'm
mean,
taking a
no
firm
shot?
stand there. No.
Fine, we can put them in B, but I'm not betting against Steph Curry ever. I'm not betting against Steph Curry. Couldn't pay me to.
He
There's no
can't
way.
he can't beat the West by himself.
Who can't? We just got into the West. You don't think that the Warriors could beat the Nuggets in a 7-game series? I love the Nuggets, but you don't think Steph could get hot? You don't think Draymond?
No.
Oh, I
I
don't
don't
know,
think this
man.
team has what it takes to compete anymore. I think they need Dray or
Okay,
they need
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
I have a question for you. Warriors play the play-in tournament and win it, and so they get the seven. They get like the 7 seed, and they play the Lakers in the second round. You
I
don't think they could beat the Lakers?
I barely like the Lakers, and I think that the Lakers would beat them.
Man, I don't know. I'm not betting against Steph. That's a fair ranking for sure. The fact that you tried to put them in C is blasphemy, offensive to a top 5 player of all time. That is.
He's been hurt
disrespectful.
all year.
He's fine.
He's
Steph's
been
gonna be
hurt all
fine.
year, and then
It's this the
without
regular season's
Without Clay, I don't think they're in the A.
That's fair. That's fine, and I'm fine with putting them in B. I just be aware of their upside.
I hope you prove me wrong. I don't see it. I think that if they make the playoffs, it would be through the play-in game, and they would be a first-round knockout.
Okay, we'll see.
Let's jump back to the East. I mean, Boston Celtics in A. Am I crazy here?
B. B.
No,
B for me.
you're telling me that
B for me.
No.
Dude, the Celtics are not good right now.
No.
The Celtics are not good right
They're
now.
one
I watched
piece
their
away.
entire game last night. They were so bad. They're one piece away, but the trade deadline passed them. You're so right they're one piece away, but it doesn't matter because they didn't get the piece.
You're just
Well, we're
salty.
talking about-
You're about to go in
we're
and
talking
flip
about
the
2021.
table on their management. Flip the
talking
table
about
on 'em.
Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge is the ultimate. We almost got this guy. Like, hey, Danny, you had every pick in the world. Go do something. Your time is now. You've been to 2 Eastern Conference championships with Brad Stevens. The time is now to win. Do something. Do something.
I don't get it. What are they gonna do at big man? Like, they don't have anybody.
Who knows?
They
Who
don't have
knows what they're
anybody.
doing? I mean, Robert Williams is their literal only solution. I mean, I watched Mo Wagner and Cornette and all these trash bags play last night. Yeah, maybe I'm salty because I played Wagner in DFS, but they're trash bags.
I
What
really
is their
like.
plan.
I like their guards though a lot.
But here's the problem: is that Kemba is a shell of his former self. Marcus Smart has never seen a shot he doesn't like, and he's not a very good 3-point shooter. Jason
Yeah.
Tatum is invisible sometimes. Invisible. Standing in the corner. Invisible.
I mean, Tatum's a great ball player.
Yeah, but he stands in the corner and he's not aggressive. Tatum does not have that killer instinct.
Regular games don't matter. He's trying not to get hurt.
I need the killer instinct in my superstars.
I
And then
think you need
Jalen Brown
Kemba.
dribbles with his head down. It drives me insane.
I guess
I'm
that's
so
fair.
mad at the Celtics. I'm so mad at Danny Ainge.
You're
How do you
still-
not go get Vooch? How do you not go get Vooch? And then why did you give Tice away?
I don't know. I thought that they were giving Tice away to get Vooch. Like, I
Me
thought that was the
too.
play.
Me too.
And then
I was
they're
like, it makes
they're
so
a
much
top
sense.
seed. Top seed in the East, I think.
Yes, I'm talking about them as a potential contender. And here I am. I want to put them next to the fucking Rockets now.
Yeah, it's bad.
Man,
It's bad.
Danny Ainge gets me so mad. The quotes that come out after they don't get someone, like, oh, we were so close. We tried really hard, guys. We promised. We gave it our all. No, you didn't, Danny. The Bucks. We slandered them before. At least they're willing to go spend their picks and try to be good.
Yeah.
You're just accepting mediocrity by holding on to your picks and your trade exemptions and not doing anything with them.
No, I think that I like their system. I like their guards. I like Tatum. I think if they get hot in the playoffs, they're going to be someone to mess with. But they've got to do something at center because they need some help.
Yeah,
They need
exactly.
some help.
So bad.
But this is one where I think we're both going to try to dig in on each other because you really like the Lakers.
I do like the Lakers. I don't know why you wouldn't like the Lakers. What makes you not like the Lakers? Are you just worried about their health? If that's your answer, I'm fine with that.
That is, I mean, you know,
I'm fine with that answer.
I would just like on record here that injury prone is a thing, and Anthony Davis
Stop
heard it every year. The
Stop
glass
lying to
cannon,
people.
the glass cannon. So,
I
but
I
with,
will say,
Go.
I'm worried about the injuries as well. Flat out, I'm worried about the injuries as well.
Talk about LeBron because I think that's the biggest piece of the puzzle. What's your opinion on him? Is this real? Is he seriously hurt, or is he?
Yeah, this is a real one, man. That was a real high ankle sprain. So the difference between the lower ankle sprains and higher ones is when you come down and you get a lower ankle sprain, it's that traditional roll where like it goes inside. You know what I mean? When your foot turns inside, you get that little tweak, you feel it a little bit, and then you're fine.
Well,
This-
James, I got to stop you because neither one of us are tearing up the court and coming down on our ankles. I'll say
Hey,
that.
listen, you're talking about high school point guard James Rueb right here.
No shot.
You're talking about high school
No
point guard
shot.
James Rueb right here, king of the ball fake.
No
King of the
way.
ball fake.
No
Listen,
way.
next time we get one of my friends on here, we'll
I'm
talk
gonna
about
need
the
some
ball fake.
clips. I'm gonna need some clips.
Oh, we'll get
Please,
some clips.
high school friends, please
We'll
tag
get
him in
clips
some
of the ball
clips.
fake.
Send
We'll
send
get
me
some clips
some.
of the ball fake. So just the high ankle sprains are the ones where your foot turns out, and
Yep.
those are the really bad ones. And that's what his did. It's like a prototypical high ankle sprain. And yes, this dude has access to the best medical attention available. He's laying in hyperbaric chambers and stuff, and I think he's gonna be healthy come playoff time. But if Davis isn't playing and LeBron isn't playing, and they have a week to prepare for a potential play-in game against the Warriors and Steph Curry, I don't know.
But I think if they don't play the Warriors, like if they play anyone else, the Suns, the Trailblazers, the Clippers.
Well, those would be their first round matchups because those guys are all going to avoid the playing game. It would be someone like Memphis. Like they're going to beat Memphis. They're going to, like them versus the Kings. The Kings just don't have enough if both of them are playing. You know, as much as we like Fox and whatnot, they just don't have enough.
I thought you were going to fight for them to be an S tier, and I just don't think they're there. I think healthy.
No, I'm fine with that. I'm not on the Lakers this year. I do not think they come out of the West. The Nuggets come out of the West. I want to make that as clear as possible. I'm all in on the Nuggets now. All in. And I'm okay with that.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, we've got one team left. Should be an easy one.
Sold everyone. Throw them in the D. And that's it.
That's it. So who did we miss here? Anyone? I still think the Jazz are too high, one too high.
No, the Jazz are right, man. Come on.
I don't think so.
If you want to make the argument to move the Celtics up to even out the B and C tier, I would do that for you if you really feel passionate about it. Did I talk you off the Celtics enough?
I forgot how bad they are at center.
But they did. I mean, they were in the Eastern Conference Championship last year. I mean,
and they didn't really have it. Like, I don't know.
They do have Tristan Thompson, who's going to come back.
Will he by the playoffs though?
Yes, yeah, he'll be back in the next couple weeks.
Then, if that's the case, under that assumption, move to A.
I can't believe Tristan Thompson's moving the needle.
That's it.
Yeah, the graphic looks a little bit more balanced too. I'm fine with it, I guess. For the aesthetic, not for Danny Ainge, just for the visuals.
Yeah.
Since I am the graphics guy of the podcast and all that kind of stuff.
Graphics guy,
Yeah.
Here we go. Well, hey, we jumped on here. You've got mattresses in the background where you're tired. I'm sniffling over here, and we just knocked out a show.
We did, man. That was great. If you guys like these little tier shows, I think it's not even the fact that like we're doing this tier stuff. I just think that almost just gives us like the talking topic, and we just take it from there about these teams and stuff, and that just drives the conversation, and stuff just starts spewing out of our brains, and then I start yelling about Danny Ainge. So
That's
I
a,
think these
yeah,
I
that's
think
what
these
makes
are
it
really
special.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I like them, and I mean next, I need some comments. Do we bring back our MLB expert and do a baseball one of these? I think we have to.
I absolutely think we do. I mean, Josh was awesome. That show absolutely crushed it. Killing views. I think it hit 100 views, right?
Yeah, I
I
think
didn't
that.
check right before we came on, but it did hit 100 views. So thank you guys. Um, for everyone who's commenting, likes, comments, and subscriptions are really important. Those help us grow. Um, I mean, we're going to be on here every week, like we said. We're going to be talking to the mics regardless of we're getting 10 viewers or 10,000. So we're having a lot of fun, and we hope you guys are too.
Yeah.
Um, so as always, follow us on social media. Matt, I assume Matt has those up on the screen in his pretty little graphics, as
Oh, if you,
always.
I thought you made the graphics, you would know what the
Oh yeah,
people
yeah,
are
yeah. I
seeing over
forgot.
here
Since
right
I'm the
now.
graphics guy, I know that our socials are up on the screen. Um, so thank you guys as always. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you never miss an episode of The Rueb Show.